What is good, everyone? I am Brandon. This is the Common Critic on the Fed by Ravens Media Network. As always, joined by Dallas and Cody. And we're especially excited. For the audience, I don't know if you guys heard last week, but our beloved Daft Punk split up.
Oh, so sad.
Quite unfortunate, right?
Yes.
The greatest thing the French have ever done is now split up.
Oui.
Yeah, I know.
Isn't that their names? Oui, right?
Yeah, sure. I don't know.
I don't know the real names, but Daft Punk. It was sad.
Daft Punk.
Yeah. Well, it's unfortunate because now we have no use for France, so we have no other choice but to not recognize them as a country anymore. So it's been good, but without Daft Punk, there's nothing.
I mean, French fries. I'll give them French fries.
Are they French though? I don't know.
I don't know where they came from.
I enjoy a good baguette.
My wife's listening to this and is shaking her head because she knows I have this strange bias against France for some reason. I don't know.
Well, I think we all understand that, but...
Anyways, in honor of the greatest thing the French has ever done, Daft Punk, we are doing the Tron movies, and some of you may be all like, wow, how did you get to that conclusion? It's because Daft Punk put together what I would say is a top 5 movie soundtrack.
Yes.
For Tron Legacy.
I don't know if I'll give you top 5, but it is a very good soundtrack.
I'll give you even top 3.
Wow.
I'll give you top 3.
Yeah.
Did I even mention we're doing the Tron movies, or have I just been trashing the French too much?
No, we're doing the Tron.
We're doing the Tron movies, both of them.
It's not gonna. The first one's not gonna last.
Yeah,
long.
mainly the second one.
And I don't like you for making me watch the first one again.
Well, dude, that's part of the gig, man. You think I enjoyed having to watch Wonder Woman? I mean, I don't know.
84. We got it.
84. Yeah. I think that's implied.
Yeah, I would rather watch Wonder Woman 84 than Tron.
I just got stunned. That's a bold statement. That's a bold statement.
Yes, it's very bold. But, oof, that was rough. I was watching it last night, and I kept pausing it. I was like, what is going on? Why does it still have an hour left?
It's only like an hour and a half.
Yeah, it's only 96 minutes, and
that's what I'm saying. It was rough for me. I don't know. We'll get into it, but I was like, this is very slow. It's a very slow movie.
No, it is slow. Like, I agree.
Yeah. What did you think, though?
Well, it's very slow. I mean, I was having trouble staying awake on Friday night when I was watching this, which, I do my best to pay very close attention and to come across as the common critic for the audience, but this one is very rough to sit through. Now I'm sure back then it was I know it was cutting edge and it was way ahead of its time with the special effects and everything like that, but for today's standards it is rough.
I would argue that the effects still hold up for one reason, and here's my thought process. It looks like an 80s computer, so I mean, if by today's standard you want to get the look of what a world would be like in an 80s computer, that's exactly what it is, right? So even by today's standards, it's good effects, right? Because that's what they're going for.
If that's how you have to justify it for yourself.
Well, look, listen, it's hard to argue. I agree. It is a tough watch. It's slow. And I was talking to Dallas a little bit before this. I don't know why I like it. Like, I can't give you like a good reason.
You can't give us a reason.
I don't think I can give you good reasons. I could give you reasons.
Okay, I want to hear some reasons. I want to hear the good.
Well, one of my reasons is I like the world it sets up. It's an interesting world. What if these programs that we create were essentially living beings? They can feel, they could think for themselves. And what if a program that was created by an evil, corrupt, liar, sort of this, I guess you would call it maybe a comparison to like big tech at the time in the 80s. Greed is good, right? Find it any way to get to the top. What if a program was created by someone like that? How would they extend? How would they move forward? What would be the character arc for that program? Would they get tired of corporations, like you said, and go for something bigger, right? And in the end, the users win. Right?
Yeah.
So that's what I say. It creates a good world, a good setup.
So you like the idea?
I love the idea.
Concept. I will give you, it does set up the newer Tron very like
the new Tron.
Well.
bullseye on what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. But
it's what they were visualizing when they came up with the concept.
When you watch the newest Tron, you're like,
this is what the first Tron should have been.
Yeah.
They should have waited 38 years. Is that right? 28 years, I think.
Something like
that. It was 1982 that it came
38.
out.
Dude, 28. I am so bad at math. I'm so bad at math.
That's why we're comic critics.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. The concept was there, but maybe they should have done what Star Wars did, waited for better technology to come out and do more special effects, because that's part of the reason I believe they released it 4, 5, 6. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
But you get where I'm coming from, at least, on why I can somewhat enjoy this. Dude, it's a cool world. Like if we were to sit down and talk about the concept, I think I'd be more entertained. Like right now, I'm more entertained talking about the concept and the idea than the execution of it.
Than the execution of it. Now, that being said, the effort that went into making this film, the first Tron, I've seen a couple of documentaries on it and stuff like that, and like little YouTube videos, and it's insane what they did to make this movie even happen. So that's I don't know if we're getting scores yet, but that's part of the reason.
Well, let's go around and give scores. Dallas, I'll start with you. Someone whip out a calculator so we could average these scores out. Good work, Dallas. We'll let you go first.
I feel bad for doing this. I just
don't feel bad.
Don't feel bad.
I know, but
this is why there's 3 of us.
I know, but for me, it's a 2.5 for me.
Those of you listening down.
Brandon just had a heart attack.
I'm so sorry. I know.
On YouTube. It's a 2.5,
dude,
man.
I was so bored. I'm so bored. And I don't know. I just, that's it. That's all I can say about it. I don't want to talk about the first Tron.
There's a Tron cult out there that's going to roast us on social media.
That's why I'm apologizing so hard for it.
I hope so.
Are you going to confront them?
Yeah, let's go. I'm ready.
Okay, go for it. What, Cody?
My score. Dallas is a little more generous than I am.
What? Bro!
I saw him struggling to get the 2 out. I think he wanted to give it a 2. I'm going to give it a 2 out of 10. For me, it was just so lackluster. Not very much tension. With parts that were supposed to be tension, there was none for me. I didn't care really about the character. The only character I really cared about was kind of Kevin Flynn at the time. But it was... and Tron maybe, but I think it fell flat for me. I understand the technology. That's why I gave it a 2, because all the hard work going into it, because if it wasn't for that, I'd probably not give it even barely a 1. So, sorry to burst your bubble.
Well, I'm about to throw off your guys' averages. All right, you ready? So we got a 2, a 2.5, and now we got a 7.
Ooh. Wow. A 7.
A 7.
Okay.
Yes. And you know what? This weekend, I was going to give it a 6.9.
But you watched it.
But then I watched it, and I was all like, it's slow, it's boring, but there's just things I like about it, man. I like the 80s retro feel. I like the contrast in the blue and the red. I like the characters. I like the idea. I like the idea of, what does evil and corruption, how does that spread and how is that overcome? How is it that, the users fight back? Something's stolen, something's corrupted for them. How do they fight back? How do they work together to, find a way, right? Perseverance, triumph. I like that stuff.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you on that point. I agree. I think this is more entertaining talking about it than actually watching the movie. And it really surprises me.
I also think you just have a very special place in your heart for Jeff Bridges.
Is it nostalgia?
Is it Jeff? No, it is. It is Jeff Bridges. Yes, a big Jeff Bridges fan. Inadvertently, too. I didn't even realize how big of a Jeff Bridges fan I was until you guys came along.
Is it nostalgia?
I mean, I grew up watching Tron. I had Tron on VHS, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I watched it all the time.
Have to do something with it.
Maybe.
I'm sure there's movies out there that I like that people are just like, that's terrible. Like Tremors. I'm sure people just like...
Well, hold on. No, everyone loves Tremors, man. Okay. That is a universal fact.
But what was our combined score there, Dallas?
So we were basically right in line with IMDb. We were at 6.8 between the three of us.
Well, that's interesting because later on in the show, I have a question for you guys about the IMDb scores for this, just because there's kind of an interesting correlation. Nobody look it up right now because it's going to be a big surprise. Actually, I don't know why I said big. It's just going to be a thing we talk about. When we come back, we're going to have our producer, Brian, on. Brian was there for the, I guess I could call it premiere of Tron, and maybe give us more of an insight on how crazy these effects were, because from what I understand at the time, it was groundbreaking. So I think for us, not as groundbreaking, but we'll get to that when we come back. This is The Common Critic on the Fed by Ravens Media Network. Welcome back, everyone. This is The Common Critic on the Fed by Ravens Media, and big surprise, we are bad at math. We are not good at math.
We can just blame me. It is all Dallas's fault.
Dallas, when averaging our scores, accidentally hit the 2 instead of the 3. Our score is not a 6.8. It is, in fact, a 3.8.
Well, maybe Brian's score will bring it up for you.
Yeah, so for listeners, Brian Hyde has his own show on the network. Great guy, best in the business. Our producer, we wanted to talk to him a little bit about what he remembers, what he experiences. Brian, could you tell us a little bit about that?
Man, you're dredging up some old memories.
Love it.
I mean, no, I'm thinking back. I'm thinking wasn't it like 40 years ago? I know it was
82.
Yeah. Okay. So I would have been I think I would have been a junior in high school. Mm-hmm. So I was 16, 17 years old. I've really thought about this as I've listened to you give your scores. I would probably have scored it a 6 or a 7 just based on the wow factor for the special effects, which for their time were very cutting edge. But like most of you, I was bored. I mean, there was times where it didn't hold my attention. So I was always waiting for the next action sequence. But I remember it being a groundbreaking movie, particularly in terms of special effects.
Do you remember, and because my dad talks about seeing it and all that stuff, he talks about that scene where they're drinking like the digital water and how like when he was in school, everyone talked about that scene. Do you remember that?
Honestly, I don't.
Okay.
Because I hate to confess this, but if it didn't have a car chase or an explosion, my attention wandered pretty quick. So I know I've watched it since, and there's a great deal of symbolism that was lost on me at that time. And I've watched the new Tron and thought they did a remarkable job of paying honor to the original one. But anyway, it's a good movie, but you kind of have to be pretty deep into computers and technology and maybe a bit of philosophy thrown in, I think, to appreciate it.
That's true. Well, hey, Brian, thanks for telling us a little bit about that. Appreciate having you on. We'll have to have you on more in the future.
Yeah, anytime you want to hear about the good old days, I'm here, man. just hit me up.
Maybe we'll do a Fast Times at Ridgemont High or something.
Oh, that would be great.
No,
I would love that.
Well, it's good to hear it's not just our generations that are attention deficit. I guess he was losing interest back then even.
Yeah.
Too bad he didn't have a cell phone to even look at in the theater or something.
Did you know this? The first Tron came out I think it was like a month or two after E.T. So this thing was competing with E.T., man.
Oh, yeah.
It struggled. But it has become that weird cult classic.
It's a very big cult following, it sounds like.
Well, and that's good for us because it gave us Tron Legacy, right? Now, as Brian said, he watched it when he was like a junior in high school. I watched it when I was a sophomore. I was about 16-ish at the time, and I think it holds a lot of nostalgia for me, too.
Tron Legacy.
Yeah. Saw it in 3D, man.
Yeah. It
looked good in 3D.
Yeah, I saw it in theaters, too, and I was blown away. So I wonder if the same thing's going to happen. We're going to get 40 years down the line.
Your kids are going to be like, Tron Legacy is so boring.
That's terrible. I mean, some of the face digital...
They definitely spent times on more scenes than others.
Yeah. So I can see probably that's not going to travel well in time or be well over time, I guess.
I still liked it better than the Mandalorian's face one. The face CGI.
Oh, with Luke Skywalker.
Uh-huh.
Okay, yeah, I'll give you that.
Honestly, like when I saw it, I was like, all right, that's not great, but it's...
Now,
for when it came out.
No one is ever satisfied with de-aging. I have never heard of someone who is like, yeah, that was like perfect de-aging. That was like perfect. I've never heard of it.
Well, we have the technology. That's what makes me kind of confused. Because have you seen that Tom Cruise deepfake?
Yeah.
Like, why are we not using that technology in these movies?
I don't know. I wonder if it's just...
Is it cost? I mean, because people are doing it in their homes. and just like, yeah, it's on TikTok and Instagram. They're like, here's young Tom Cruise, and it's just like, it almost seems flawless. You can see it's somebody else ish. But anyway, I digress.
No, I agree. But like the first time you see young Jeff Bridges, you're like, wow, that's like really good. And then by the end of the movie, it looks like a plastic doll.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think they spent more time on that first scene, it seems like.
Which is fine, because I think that helped me to ignore it for most of the movie.
Yeah.
It's really, I don't super notice the de-aging until when he's giving that speech clue at the end to like the army, and then when he's trying to reach into the portal, that I'm like, that looks bad.
That's when they do the close-ups more too, though. That's the rest of it. He's kind of far away, or he's in a chase scene or whatever, so it's not as noticeable.
Maybe the budget was running thin at that point in time.
Yeah, like I said, I think they pick and choose.
Yeah,
but the rest of the effects are so good.
Beyond good for me.
Here's the thing. Why do we talk about Avatar's effect holding up so much when we should be talking about Tron Legacy's effects holding up?
Why did something else come out during this time, kind of like E.T.? Like, I don't understand, because when I came out of the theater, I was... my mind
year was
it was December of 2010.
Yeah. And I was just like, this is amazing. And I think it still holds up, because I watched it again over the weekend, and I was just like, that's fantastic. Maybe it's because I just watched the old one.
Yo, I had a way bigger appreciation for Tron Legacy.
Did you?
Because I watched it, back to back, than I did when I was, I would have been about 16 when it came out originally. And personally, I hated it when I first watched it. Yeah. I was also in my only Martin Scorsese and Quentin Tarantino can make a good movie phase.
Oh, yes. Everyone goes through those phases.
So I watched Tron and was like, I don't like this. But watching it yesterday, I was like, I really liked Tron Legacy now, and this is the first time I've seen it.
Because we were discussing
then.
it last week, and you were kind of like,
I was like, I do not want to watch this movie.
Yeah, you were just kind of like, I don't want to watch it, and I'm like, okay, well, I think it's a good thing we should watch it. So
Tron Legacy is one of the first movies I watched when Disney Plus came out. I was like, oh, Disney Plus. That means Tron Legacy.
Yeah. Well, I own it, so.
Oh, you did? I didn't know you own it.
Oh, yeah.
That says a lot.
Yeah, it does. I'm kind of a collector, so. But yeah, I buy movies I really love, and I really love this movie, so.
This continues that what I love about the first Tron is what happens when a program is made from corruption or evil or something like that. I wouldn't call Kevin Flint evil, but he had a god complex, right? He realized he can create anything, because he realized that in the first Tron when he's like, oh, I'm a user, I have the power to do whatever. And now he's creating civilizations, he's finding life in here, he's creating all this stuff. And then Clue was made from that, right? And he was given this impossible task.
Yeah, to find perfection.
Yeah, and look, in the first Tron, when Kevin Flynn is when he's about to get beamed and he's screwing up the MCP, and he's all like, oh, what, you can't solve an impossible equation? And that screws up the master code or whatever it is. Same thing's happening with Clue, and that's why Clue got so corrupted. That's why he's become so evil, right? This is the storyline of Kevin Flynn in two ways, right?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I thought you were going to keep going.
No, I'm looking for confirmation that what I'm saying is correct.
I agree, yes.
And that's what makes this movie on a deeper level better than other sci-fi movies, I would say. You look at it on surface level, great visuals, cool light bikes, cool discourse, right? But this is a story of a man taking two paths.
Yeah.
So that's why I like it.
Yeah, and I think that, resonates with a lot of us. I mean, we all have, two separate... we have a good side and bad side.
Absolutely, yeah.
We have bad wolf and good wolf, right? And which one do you feed kind of thing. And obviously, it's the story of that. So I agree with you on that one, for sure.
And Cora would be the good, right? If Clue's the separation of the evil from Kevin Flynn, then Cora would be, even though he didn't make her, but the mentorship, right?
The ISOs, right?
Yeah. Kind of an interesting concept.
I like that concept, for sure. It blew me away my first time. So I'm kind of on a different end of the spectrum for you, Brandon, because I didn't watch Tron growing up.
Yeah.
And so when I went and watched it in theaters, I was just kind of like, the whole concept just like, blew my mind. I was just like, holy cow, this is incredible. And I was with my friend Matt AC, and we were just sitting there the whole way home just discussing the whole thing because he was a big Tron fan. Mm-hmm. And so he kind of clued me in. clued me in on what was going on, So, but it was good.
Yeah, so when we get back, we'll talk about it. I think we'll save our scores for later. I think we have some more stuff to talk about. I think more of like the action scenes and whatnot, games and all that stuff, because it's a lot more fun in Tron Legacy. You're listening to The Common Critic on the Fed by Ravens Media Network. Welcome back, everyone. This is The Common Critic on the Fed by Ravens Media Network. We talked the first Tron, and now we're talking Tron Legacy, arguably the much, much better one.
Not even arguably.
No argument.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said that. Yeah, that was just like the much, much better one.
8 times. No. Well, 4 times better.
Don't foreshadow your...
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Okay.
Cody.
Yeah,
Wow.
I know.
I thought you were going to hit us with like you'd be like, this is like a solid 6. Yeah, like a really good 6. Like, when a 6 to me is like a bad movie.
Hey, that's great. That's why we work well together.
Cody might have a higher score than me for once.
You've always had a higher score than me.
Uh-huh. Brandon's outscored us all.
No, not on all of them. Tenet, you had the higher score.
Tenet, I did have the higher score.
No, I do tend to... There's a joke in my family that says the best movie in the world is whatever Brandon just watched. I have bad recency bias, I guess, or something. But movies just keep getting better, right? And you learn and things get better, right? That's my theory, at least. But we're talking Tron Legacy. Here's something I want to bring up, and this is something I noticed this weekend's viewing of Tron Legacy. Korra is who Rey should have been in the Star Wars sequels.
Yeah.
This is what I'm thinking, right? Korra is learning. She has natural talent, right? This natural ability. Mm-hmm. She didn't know how to do it unless she had a mentor. She learns. She's almost childlike, but she's determined and ferocious and uses this selflessness and this raw talent together. This is what Rey should have been.
Instead of just boom.
Yeah, instead of like, oh my gosh, look at me, I'm freaking amazing.
Yeah,
just so good.
That was terrible. But yeah, I agree with you.
So I like Korra as a character, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, she's great.
I just like Korra. Olivia Wilde. Can't go wrong.
Here comes the single guy I know who's giving us the...
Sorry, I love her. All right? My bad.
No, it's all good. That's just a thought I had this weekend. I'm like, Disney has had the blueprint for a fantastic female lead.
Yeah.
And they just completely missed the mark on Rey, right?
Yeah. Which
is strange, because I don't want to talk about Star Wars that much.
I might wonder how you want to get into it.
But it's been brought up before. It's like, why did you have this great character in 2010 but haven't done anything to play off of that ever since? Right? It's just kind of what I'm thinking.
They'd probably just do cash grab is what they're doing.
Just a cash grab.
They don't care. I feel that's what I feel with the Star Wars movies, that Disney doesn't care about the characters, about anything. They just put it out there. They're like, it's good enough script, it's good enough, it's enough wow factor, put enough special effects in it, and we'll get the billions, the trillions they've already made off of those, even though a lot of the Star Wars fans don't think they're that great. So
yeah.
So I think, but yeah, I digress again. So
well, let's talk about the games here a little bit, because a big step up from the original Tron is how these games look, man. And these scenes are awesome. And you know what's great is up until you see old Kevin Flynn again, there's a lot of showing and not telling. There's hardly any dialogue, and even the dialogue is like kind of lame. So it's like whatever up until this point.
But the soundtrack is fantastic.
The soundtrack does the talking, and the actions do the talking. I learned more about Sam from his just go-gettingness and his...
Well, the opening scene.
Okay, why? Okay, real quick. I do have a weird kind of criticism. Why do we bring in Dillinger's son for 2 seconds? Just never talk about him again. He's in that board meeting.
Yeah.
You would think he's like, again...
A big part of it.
A big part, or like he got in somehow and like... messed with Clue, and that's why he turned bad or something. We just mentioned Dillinger. That's it.
I think it was, there's a lot
of mentions in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of like, Sam, when he's breaking into Incom, is like, that's a really big door. That's the same thing he said.
I did enjoy that.
There's just little things like that.
Yeah.
right? There's a lot of callbacks, and I think
that's just what they're doing is just calling back to this is Dillinger's son, and then let's move on with the main story, Sam, Kevin. You know,
it just seemed weird to just kind of like throw it in, and it seems like he's going to play a big part, especially now that we know him as, I can't remember his name, but that actual actor, he ends up being Scarecrow and Peaky Blinders. So immediately when I see it, I'm like, oh, he's going to be a big part of this movie.
No,
nothing.
I think they didn't want to recycle villains.
Yeah.
I think they just didn't want Dillinger to be the villain again.
I mean, if you're not going to have him be the villain again, then why introduce him?
I think
that was my main...
I think it's just like a cameo. I think it's the equivalent of Daft Punk showing up in the party scene.
That was just awesome.
No, it was awesome, but I think it plays a similar purpose, right?
I think it was just a throwback and be like, hey, you know, that's how I took it. Okay. But when I first watched it, I had no idea that was Dillinger's son.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, oh, you know, he's just a techie guy who's a jerk kind of thing is what I took it as. And then, but that opening scene with the score and the music and him going through the man,
it sets up his character well, because you just need to know, like, look, his dad disappeared, right? He was left with all these questions why he was left with this, to him, this great fantasy world, right? And now he could be the CEO, but he just doesn't care, right? He has all these problems. He has money, I'm presuming.
Oh, yeah.
He's the highest shareholder, so
yeah.
Sure he's got money.
He's just a young, rich kid who has a cool bachelor pad by the lake or whatever.
That is a cool bachelor pad.
Yeah. And a Ducati.
And
an awesome little dog.
But we learn he fights for the users, right? He broke in and gave their new software to everyone in the world because it should be free.
Right.
Right? So I think that plays to his characters in the theme of what you'd call the users on this side. Kevin Flynn, Sam, Cora, Tron, essentially, which we'll get into Tron later because I have some thoughts on how they play Tron in this movie, man. If I had criticism, it's going to be Tron.
Okay.
I want to get back to the games, though. How dope is this scene? Because whenever I think of Tron Legacy, this is the scene that stood out to me. The disc wars and then the light bikes. Oh, I can't look away. It is amazing.
Yes.
Okay. This is a criticism from me again.
Oh, boy.
He just comes in with the disc and is just like, yeah, I'm going to beat these guys. Like, I don't know. It's not like a video game. It's not like the light bikes where, he's ridden motorcycles.
He fumbles it.
He does.
One time. Oh, no. And then he just beats everyone else until...
He's just like his dad. He's just good at games.
I'll tell you why, man. Because it doesn't make for a good movie. That's it.
I know, but at least I don't know, some sort of a training sequence before for 2 seconds. Just be like, hey, we get these programs ready for the wars.
Well, he did lose, but Tron stopped. He would have died, but Tron stopped.
But he beats the first 2 guys.
Well, maybe they were terrible. They were just programmers.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was just tax software, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that was the Instagram program he was going up against or something.
100,000 programs in that arena, all watching this like March Madness style disc wars, and he makes it to the final.
Fantastic. It's great.
I'm just saying.
I didn't even think about him not being able to do it because it looks so good.
And I'm fine with it, and it looks cool and everything. I'm just saying. He comes in and is apparently just amazing at this right away.
I understand.
This scene brings up a good point in my head.
It was, just a little knock.
I'll give you the valid.
A little knock.
Okay.
This is how you expand on a world when you're creating a sequel 30 years later, right? How can we take an awesome concept that I think at least probably in the 80s, the disc wars and the light bikes.
The Frisbee war?
Whatever, man. Come on. It's the 80s.
Heavens, that was terrible.
It was bad.
Sorry, continue.
But probably resonated well with audiences. How do we take that, keep that nostalgia, but make it better? This is how you do it, because it looks so good and so dope, right?
I think they knocked it out of the park, and I think they laid groundwork for Blade Runner, the sequel.
Yeah. Who was it? I think the cinematographer in Tron Legacy is the same one who does Blade Runner 2049, which is the most gorgeous film ever created. No, that's a fact, man.
Well,
you can't even argue that. No, that's not a bold statement. That's just common knowledge.
I would put them on the same level as Tron.
They are on the same level, but
Legacy. Done.
Yeah.
I like the light bikes in this. I think are like the peak of the movie. Right? Like, this is just so sick.
The light bikes were my favorite part.
Well, the whole scene's fantastic.
Yeah.
The fireworks, the grid, the bikes. You know, he is very natural at that. Do you give him that?
I will give him that because we see in the opening scene him weaving in and out of traffic and escaping the cops.
We do see him like jump off a building, and you can tell he's
athletic.
He's athletic.
Tink.
Yeah,
and throw in the disc. It's I don't know.
I don't know. It's a frisbee. How hard?
I didn't see him playing ultimate frisbee.
Hey man, if you could dodge a wrench, you could dodge a light disc, man. If you could dodge a car, you can dodge a light disc.
Do you want a training montage with Patches O'Houlihan?
Patches O'Houlihan.
That would have made this movie even better. All right,
that would have been insane, dude. Could you imagine? Oh my gosh.
Who gets squashed by 2 tons of irony? The luck of the Irish.
No, but like if there's a peak to this movie, I mean, obviously like the climax and stuff, but the peak of this movie is the games.
Yeah.
Right. I think this is like the big part of that. When we get back, we'll have to be quick because I want to talk Michael Sheen's character, Zeus, because I think he's a lot of fun in this. And I want to talk about the ending a little bit, and then we'll rate our scores. I have a question about IMDb for you guys, and then we'll go over a little bit what we got going next week. Keep listening. This is The Common Critic on the Fed by Ravens Media Network. What is good, everyone? This is The Common Critic on the Fed by Ravens Media Network. We are finishing up Tron Legacy. Before we go out, I wanted to talk about Michael Sheen's character, Zeus. For one reason, I always forget he's in this movie, but whenever he comes on, it's like one of my favorite parts. Like, he captures my attention so well, and it's like so much fun.
He's a very eccentric character, and he is fun on screen. I'm going to get so much heat for this. He's Joker-esque in the sense that he's just, look, I don't care what happens. I just want chaos. I just want whatever.
That was a big statement.
No, look, I'm not. Obviously, I said he's Joker-esque. He's just the chaotic, neutral party, right?
I'll give you Leto Joker.
Oh, definitely not Heath Ledger. Definitely not Joaquin Phoenix, man. Yeah, definitely more Jared Leto.
Okay.
Which is interesting because I heard on IMDb it has Jared Leto cast for Tron 3.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think that'd be good. I don't know. He's the only one cast.
Is he?
Yeah, all IMDb says for Tron 3 is Jared Leto and the director. I'm like, that's it. I'm like, okay.
Well, I hope they still have the same set designer and all that stuff.
They better, man. Throw some money behind
maybe
this.
Maybe they'll bring Daft Punk back.
I doubt it.
Tron 3.
Don't get my hopes up, man.
They'll reunite them just for
United.
This is the tribute podcast for Daft Punk. That's why we're doing it. Well, yeah, let's talk about that soundtrack a little bit more.
Well, I've already said how much I love it, but it's probably my top 3 favorite soundtracks.
Would you solid top 3?
Yes.
I would agree.
Not even a question in my mind.
Which is strange because, like, if Daft Punk can do this great of a soundtrack, who else are we missing out on doing great soundtracks, right? Because I don't think you'd expect a fantastic soundtrack from someone quite like Daft Punk. They're good at what they do, but
yeah, I think it was a perfect storm. Really, because you take the
vibe, the look, the feel.
The computer, the sci-fi, the futuristic, which is very Daft Punk.
They're already wearing the helmets that kind of look like the Tron's helmets and everything, and the lights and everything.
Speaking of the Zeus scene, though, I mean, when Kevin Flynn comes in and puts his hands down, and that beat changes, and it's just like, it's just you can feel it, and you feel alive.
That's a great scene for many reasons, and Kevin coming in and doing that is one of them.
And it kind of shows like how he's looked upon on the grid, right? He's looked upon almost like a messiah, right? Almost like he's here, he's real, because there's so many rumors. And
it's like a second coming sort of thing.
And he's here and he's helping us, and all these believers are finally like, yes, he's here to save us. And,
well, when Cora talks about him to Sam, she's like, and there he was, like, on my shoulder, the creator. Like, they're just, like, entranced by him and everything. And also, he looks sweet when he comes in. In the robe with, like, just, like, the little lights.
Yeah.
Like,
the lights are,
perfect. He comes in looking badass.
This is good writing, man. This is how you write sci-fi, for sure.
I agree.
So...
Jeff Bridges is playing the dude half the time, but...
Hey, what is it? Hey, say again what you told me before we were recording, that he's the dude, but smarter.
He is, yeah. I mean, he's he's like if the dude went to college and became a software engineer.
Biodigital jazz, man.
Yeah, all of my favorite lines are like that.
You ruined my Zen, man.
Yeah. You're messing with my Zen thing, Sam. Yeah, it's great.
He's playing the dude, which, I mean, it threw me off a little, but overall I did enjoy Jeff Bridges' character.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Tron, because here's my biggest criticism of the movie, and it knocked it down quite a bit for me. Actually, probably not quite a bit. I don't like Tron's not meaningful death here.
Did he die?
I think he's dead, technically. I think
he lights up.
Is anybody
Yeah,
dead?
but it's like, is anyone
dead?
If they want us to think that he's dead, but they want to keep it open in case Tron 3 actually gets the green light.
Yeah. Which I hope happens, because I think it would be more about Tron, and that is
Tron, for a movie named after him, hasn't gotten that much.
I think the third one would be more about Tron.
I would hope so.
That's how I feel, because he was so not in the... I mean, he was there, obviously, but it wasn't focused
Rensler,
on him.
he was...
It was focused on Sam and Kevin Flynn, which I think it should have been, because, I mean, the whole storyline about father-son, I'm a dad with a son, it resonates with me. So.
Yeah. No, and I don't like it because out of nowhere, not super out of nowhere, but Tron comes back, right? He's like, I fight for the users, right? He has this... We'll call it a coming to Jesus moment. Coming back to Jeff Bridges moment.
So,
well, no, that's another criticism I have.
Uh-oh.
It's kind of random.
It is a little random. See,
they're in the fight scene, and then all of a sudden he's just randomly like,
I fight for the users.
Yeah.
Also in that fight scene, it's terrible. Sam throws out like 10 one-liners. None of them stick. None of them are
None
good.
of his one-liners
None
stick.
of the one-liners are good in this.
In the light bike scene where he's like, another customer. Let's go get it. I'm like, okay, come on, man. Like,
hope you have
you
a nice
realize
swim.
Yeah.
Like,
you're about to die in a video game. Like,
Or Daft Punk. We don't need...
Yeah.
Don't talk.
Sam. I enjoyed Sam overall.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But his
like,
one-liners, no.
That's the writer's fault.
He is the most okay character and acting performance in history. Like, he's just right in the middle. Like, yeah, he's okay.
I think that's what you needed.
Yeah, that's exactly what you needed.
Yeah.
Right. But like I said, I don't like that we're supposed to think Tron dies sacrificing himself to free them, and then, Clue is actually still alive.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
Right? Because it just feels worthless, but that's just me.
Yeah.
So.
I agree with that.
Let's get around to rating this. And before you rate it, we forgot to say whether or not the first Tron is worth a watch or not. Okay? Dallas, you go first. Tell us if the first one is worth a watch or not, and then go on to your rating for Tron Legacy.
I want to say not worth it. I'm going to say not worth it. Personally, I just didn't enjoy it. But it does help Tron Legacy. When you watch the first one, you kind of understand a little bit more when you watch Tron Legacy. Mm-hmm. So, but I'm still saying not worth it because I was so bored for an hour and a half.
So what do you rate Tron Legacy?
Tron Legacy, I'm going to go with a 6.5.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. That's good.
I enjoyed the movie. I had the most criticisms out of you guys.
Yes, you did.
There was a few
But
things.
they were valid criticisms.
But, overall, not worth it.
And I'm going
to me.
Worth
Tron Legacy's worth
Sorry, I
it
didn't
for
mean
me.
to cut you off.
No, you're good.
But yeah, I'm going to have to kind of disagree with you and agree with you at the same time. So the first one, I don't think, not worth it. Don't watch it. I don't think you need it to watch Tron Legacy. So, I mean, I didn't watch it the first time, and I was blown away. So I don't think it's worth watching. If you want to subject yourself to an hour and a half of boredom, then you go right ahead. But the Tron Legacy, sorry, Brandon's giving me the
It's okay. No, dude, you're good.
I'd be
You're
dead
good.
right now. But as far as Tron Legacy, obviously I've talked it up, and I think it's probably one of my favorite movies. And I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10.
Wow.
So, actually, I'm going to give it an 8.1 out of 10. I'm going to give it a little bit above. A little bit above.
That's my thing, like last week.
Yeah.
Like, 8 feels too low. I got to give it the 0.1.
So I'm going to give it an 8.1. Totally worth watching it. If you haven't seen it, go watch it somehow, some way.
It is on Disney Plus.
It's on Disney Plus. Watch it, and hopefully you have a nice TV and sound. You can really enjoy the soundtrack and the movie.
Definitely a better movie in theaters, huh? Like, well, the 3D. We hardly even talked about 3D because we're a little late. this was filmed on 3D cameras, and I think it just made it really great. All right, for me, the first Tron would not be worth watching if Tron Legacy didn't exist. If there was no Tron Legacy, first Tron would not be worth it. I gave it a 7, and it's not worth it, right?
Yeah.
It's worth it if you want to enjoy Tron Legacy more. I'm going to cheat a little. My final say is going to be it's worth it. Okay. But overall, 2 out of 3, that gives it a not worth it score. I think it enhances Tron Legacy. And for me, Tron Legacy is an 8.6.
Nice.
And I don't know, that number just kept popping into my head as I watched it, 8.6. Maybe it's because I watched Tron and then Tron Legacy. And that gives us a total score of, what is that, 7.7, we'll call it?
Yeah, 7.7.
That's fair.
Cody's doing the math.
Cody can do math.
So here's a quick question. Just quick yes or no, because we're almost out of time. IMDb has both Trons rated as a 6.8. Both of them.
Yeah.
Are these movies on the same level?
No, not even close. I think it has everything to do with nostalgia.
And see, I would agree, because for me, it has
and for when it
everything
came
to do.
out and being ahead of the curve.
So I'm going to do what you usually do. I'm going to go back on IMDb and just give it a 1 so we can bring that rating.
I gave it a 10, so it just cancels it out anyways.
We'll have Dallas go on and give it a 1.
So that was Tron and Tron Legacy. Glad you guys enjoyed. Next week, we got WandaVision, man. We're going to do WandaVision.
Yeah.
So psyched about this. Marvel's first ever TV show. And I'm thinking Marvel should stick to TV shows because, man, it has been so good so far. Stick around for that. We're excited to do WandaVision. Follow us on social media. Follow us on Facebook, on Instagram. This will be up on YouTube. Please subscribe, like the video. We got weekly videos coming out on just random things, whatever we could put together. And we have a few more projects we're going to be putting together in the future for you guys. Anyways, this has been Brandon, Cody, and Dallas with the Common Critic on the Fed by Ravens Media Network.